In this video I want to discuss some of the structures of the ear with the outer ear, the middle ear, and the inner ear. So in this model we can see a major portion of what is called the petrous region of the temporal bone, and then on the outside of the skull we can see the auricle of the ear, and it is divided into several different regions. We have the helix, and on this model you can see helix, a little bit of the tragus, you can't really see the ear lobule, and you can see the external auditory canal. Notice the canal goes through soft tissues and then through the external auditory meatus of the temporal bone. The external ear starts at the auricle and goes up to this structure here, which is our tympanic membrane. The tympanic membrane is the wall between the outer ear and the middle ear. In this model, I can remove just temporarily the tympanic membrane so you can see the size of the tympanic membrane, commonly known as the eardrum. Put the tympanic membrane back in, we can see there are three bones associated with the tympanic membrane: the malleus, the incus, and the stapes. If I rotate this tympanic membrane laterally, I can see attached to the posterior surface of the tympanic membrane the malleus. Articulating with the malleus, we have the incus, and then articulating with the incus, we will have the stapes. On this model, they have the stapes attached to the inner ear at the oval window. So here we can see the stapes. I'll lift the inner ear portion out and show you the stapes attached to the oval window. So here we have the stapes. Putting the model back together, we can see tympanic membrane with the malleus, incus, and in the background the stapes. Tympanic membrane begins the area known as the middle ear, also known as the tympanic cavity. The tympanic cavity has an opening from the nasopharynx known as the pharyngotympanic tube, and here we can see our pharyngotympanic tube traveling up to that middle ear cavity. Remember, from the pharynx to the tympanic cavity, hence the name pharyngotympanic tube. Immediately above that pharyngotympanic tube, we see a muscle traveling along inside the petrous region of the temporal bone. That muscle continues on here on this model as this little dark gray piece. That is the tensor tympani muscle. The tensor tympani muscle functions to dampen sound vibrations in the ear by pulling the malleus away from the tympanic membrane, the tensor tympani muscle. The rest of the structures on this model are structures of the inner ear. Now the inner ear is embedded within the petrous region of the temporal bone, and we see this better on another video, but I'll lift this portion and we can look at it just briefly. We can see on this inner ear the three semicircular canals, the area of the inner ear known as the vestibule, and then the area known as the cochlea. If I turn this portion around, we will see that coming from the cochlea, we have the cochlear portion of cranial nerve 8, the vestibulocochlear nerve, and this here is supposed to be the vestibular portion of cranial nerve 8, the vestibulocochlear nerve. We cannot see the oval window on this model because they left the stapes attached, but we can, if we turn it up, see the round window. So you want to consult the video of the inner ear structure so we see all of this in an enlarged fashion. The last thing I want to point out on this model is this structure right here. This is our internal carotid artery as it passes through the carotid canal of the temporal bone and then passes into the cranial vault. So our internal carotid artery passing through the carotid canal of the temporal bone.